Hi there. In this video, I want to show you the most important financial figures that you need to have in your business plan. What are the most important financial figures that you need in your business plan? Hi there. If you're joining me for the first time today, do subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, let's get straight into this. You know, when you write a business plan, there are some really important financial figures that you must make sure are included in that plan. So, what are they? Let's talk about this. Very important. Number one, your sales figures. Number two, your expenses. Number three, the amount of loan or equity that you need. And then number four, the amount of profit you are going to make. If any of those figures are missing, and many of these figures you will find in your cash flow forecast or in your executive summary, actually, they should be in your executive summary as well in one shape or form, but they would definitely be in your cash flow forecast. So these are critical figures. Now let's take it one by one. And I'm going to start with what I term the most important one. And you're going to notice why I'm saying that the sales figures are the most important figures that need to be in your business plan. So let's take a look at it. When we talk about sales, why do I think the sales figures is the most important figures or are the most important figures? It depends on how you look at it, whether you're going to look at it in monthly figures in your cash flow forecast, or you're going to put in one sales figure or revenue figure for each particular year in your executive summary. Number one is that your sales figures affects everything else. Your sales figures affect your expenses or your ability to cover your expenses. Your sales figures affect your ability to repay the loan or to give an interest on the equity that you've received. Your sales figures also will affect the amount of profits that you think you are going to make. Now, here's the mistake that most people make. This is what happens. Most people put into their business plan researched figures. So they might go, let's say somebody wants to sell coffee. So they might go and take a look at a Mintel report. That's what we have in the UK. In the UK, we have Mintel report. So Mintel report will tell you that so many cups of coffees are drunk every day in a particular location. So somebody wants to set up a cafe, says, oh yeah, Mintel report says that let's say 10,000 coffees are sold every day. Coffees are sold every day. And therefore, I'm going to sell 1,000 cups of coffee every day because there are so many people in my area. That is just research figures. That's just an hypothesis that has nothing to do with reality. There's nothing that says you are going to sell 1,000 cups of coffee every day because your figures are not tested. Therefore, when you start your business with research figures only, then you are going to be in for a rude awakening. You're in for a big surprise. Let me tell you something. In a sense, the drinks company, I happen to work for the organization that gives them their first seed capital to go and research in the market. They took their juices to the market and researched and tested their juices in the market. It was based on the test they carried out in the market that they then went into supply supermarkets, and then Coca-Cola, I understand, bought, in a sense, drinks. Now, the reason why that business worked is because they based it on tested figures. You know, if you're putting, and most people do this, they've not tested their figures. They just pluck in a figure into the sales and say, oh, I'm going to sell 10 million pounds worth, or I'm going to sell, £1 million worth of. Have you tested it? What is the proof that you're actually going to make those levels of sales that you've put into your cash flow forecast or into your business plan? You got to go out and test it first. And if you watch my previous video, it will tell you about MVP and how you should go about testing. So I won't really cover that here. But you've got to include in your sales figure tested figures. It's got to be tested figures. Number three, it needs to be reasonable. Sales tends to be the most overestimated part of our cash flow forecast. We say, oh, I'm going to sell, so many units of a particular product, or I'm going to make so much money with ads, or I'm going to sell so much ads, I'm going to sell so many ads to businesses locally. Or we'd like to, if you're an entrepreneur, you tend to err on the area of optimism, which is a good thing. But when it comes to sales figures, you need to be more conservative. If you think you're going to sell 10, just base your calculation based on you selling 7. Because probably sales takes longer to get. We're going to cover that in a moment. It takes longer to get, and it doesn't always go the way that you may have planned. So sales figures are the most important because one, they affect everything. Two, you need to put in tested figures, not research only figures, but tested figures. And number three, they need to be reasonable. Okay, let's go on and look at something else about sales. Now, the amount of sales you are able to generate in your business will depend on 3 things. Number one is your traffic source. Where are your customers coming from? If your customers are coming from an influencer, so for example, we raise funding for organizations and we help them to put together their plans and stuff. So we work with accountants, and because we're getting clients from accountants and other sources, we are able to bank on the sales that we're going to get because we are being introduced. It's like a referral, if you like. Somebody is referring these people to us. So it's more likely that we have a higher closing rate than if we're going cold. So if you're getting your clientele from a referral source, from influencers referral source, I'm going to talk about referrals in a minute, a different kind of referrals, but if you're getting your sales from an influencer referral source, you are more likely to close those sales than if you were getting them cold. Number two, depending on the traffic source again, some people think they're going to generate the same levels of sale on their website as opposed to an existing platform like an Amazon platform, an eBay platform, or a Facebook platform. That's not true. That is not true. Listen, especially in the beginning, I'm talking in the beginning, right? For most people, somebody might say, well, I know this person set up this website, they're making more money. Okay, I understand. But let me just tell you this so that you understand it. Listen, people prefer to give their card to Amazon to buy a book, to buy a TV, to buy a £5,000 worth of item on Amazon than on your website. That's just the way it goes, especially in the beginning. Nobody knows you. They prefer to give their credit card details or the debit card details to an existing established platform. So the point is, listen, when you first start selling, you need to go on an existing established platform. Don't think that you're going to generate your sales on your website because it doesn't work that way in the beginning for most people. So your traffic source has got to come from an established platform online. And then number three, your traffic source or your client source must come from referrals. I've got a course on referrals. I'll put the link in the description on how to get referrals. But referrals are a key to expanding and growing and generating sales. So if you're thinking about generating sales, you've got to use a referral system. You've got to have a referral system in your business to help you to do that. Okay, so I've given you first, your sales depends on where you're getting your traffic. The second thing that your sales depends on is your own ability to sell. Your ability to sell. And that ability to sell, the first thing is your confidence. How confident are you about selling your product? How confident are you that your product will provide the solution that the client base you are talking to needs? The more confident you are, the easier it's going to be for you to sell. And if you're not confident, you're not going to make any sales. If you don't make sales, remember, if you don't make the sales, you're not going to cover your expenses. You're not going to be able to pay your bills. You're not going to be able to return on the loans that you've received or give a interest on the equity you've received. You're not going to be able to generate profit. And that is disaster. Actually, it is said that those who continue to generate sales, no matter how bad they manage their businesses, this is so true. No matter how bad people are managing their businesses, as long as they keep on generating sales, they're going to survive. They're going to survive beyond the person who is managing everything well, but doesn't generate sales. Sales is like the bloodline to your business because sales is what brings in the money. Sales brings in the cash into your business, and you need to be generating sales. So you're going to be confident about who you are and what you're able to do. Number two, under your ability is your experience. The more experience you have for generating sales, the more sales you're going to acquire. It's just the way it goes. So what you need to do is to get out there and start practicing. And I'm telling you, there's no way you're going to generate large levels of sales without making cold calls. There's just no way. I don't know. Depending on the business, you might say, well, I'm doing this business on Amazon and I don't really sell anything. I just do, it's an internet-based business. Okay, you can get away with that if it's an internet-based business. But if it's a business whereby you need to persuade people, you're going to need experience. And you only gain experience by practice. Let me say that again. You're going to gain experience by practice. So the more you practice selling, the more experience you're going to gain and the easier it's going to be for you. I make cold calls as part of our own business as well. I still make cold calls. I'm like, I get on the phone, call somebody you've never spoken before. I'm trying to persuade them for your business. Now, this is something I've noticed. This is amazing, right? The more cold calls I make over time, even though I may not sell to those people that I've called, but for some strange reason, other sales come in quicker than when I don't make the cold calls. Let me say that again. It's true. The more cold calls I make, the more I'm putting myself out there to talk to people about our products and trying to persuade people to purchase or come and sign up with our products, the more business comes in, not necessarily from the cold calls, but as a result of me going out there, other business just comes in. It's almost as though the more cold calls you make, the more seeds you are sowing, and sooner or later, the seeds yield and harvest. Most successful businesses, either they're making the cold calls themselves or they're having people making the calls for them. And then number three, under this, your ability is your desire. The more you have a desire towards helping people, if you have a desire towards helping people and helping yourself as well, I believe in doing good and doing well. So the more desire you have to get people to have a transformed life, either by using your product or by engaging with your product or by learning from you or by using what you sell, the more desire you have to help people, the easier it's going to be for you to make sales. Okay, number 3 point about sales, what your sales depends on. It depends on levels of accountability. Now, listen to me very carefully on this point. Levels of accountability. If you're selling a product direct to a customer, either because that customer or user comes on your page or comes on your Amazon page, on your eBay page, or on your Facebook marketplace, and they're going to buy your product based on them coming to that page, the more sales you are likely to generate because your business deals directly with the user. Okay. However, when your sales depends on going through an intermediary, then your sales can take longer if you're not careful. So you need to organize yourself in such a way that you make your sales easier when you're going through an intermediary. So an intermediary may be you are not selling the books to a child. Let's say you write children's book. You're not selling the books to a child. You're selling the books to the parent. It is the parent that has the money. It is the parent that decides on what they buy for the child before the child uses the book. The child is the end user, but you're actually selling to the parent. Okay, let me give another example that you may know very well. Dog food manufacturers do not sell food directly to the dogs. Okay, I know that sounds odd, right? But it's true. Dog food is marketed to dog owners. It's not marketed to dogs. Dogs don't really, okay, I'm going to say something. I'm going to say, oh, Boomy, you don't know nothing about dogs. All right. Dogs don't really mind what they eat, or cats don't really mind what they eat. When it is said that a dog food smells nice, tastes really nice, it's steak, it's this and that, they're talking to the dog owner to get the dog owner to buy the food for the dog. So the adverts they do, the adverts created for the dog owner is completely geared towards the owner. It's not geared towards the dog. It's geared towards the dog owner because maybe the dog doesn't care, but the dog owner cares. So if you're selling to intermediaries, I'm just letting you know the marketing is different, and sometimes it takes a little bit longer because you're going through someone else. Now, this final one, when you need to go through layers, this is now levels of accountability. I've talked about if you're selling directly. I've talked about if you're selling to intermediaries. Now, if you're selling to an organization that requires approvals on different levels, then it can take a lot longer. So when you're predicting your sales, you need to account for the length of time it takes from the phone call or the first meeting to money in the bank. You cannot just think you're going to go into an organization and tomorrow morning you're going to get a check. Most of the time, it doesn't work like that. When you sell a product to the purchasing person, that person has to get approval from the manager, then he has to go to the accounts department, then he has to go to the accounts director before you get paid. That generally takes longer, and you need to account for that, and you need to start your sales process earlier. Now, talking about sales process, when you're selling directly to a user, you need to know what end of the sales cycle that person is. Are they at the beginning where all they want is information, or are they at the point where they want to, okay, maybe we should talk about that on another video, actually. Let's talk about the sales cycle. But the point I'm making here is that the levels of accountability would definitely impact the amount of sales that you're able to generate, which means that in your cash flow forecast or in your predictions on sale, you need to be able to account for the delays or the length of time it may take for you to actually generate the sale. So your sales would depend on your traffic source, it would depend on your ability to sell, and it would depend on the levels of accountability you need to go through to generate those sales. Let me say that again. The sales you can make, or the sales you should include, the figures you should include in your business plan, will depend on your traffic source, your ability to sell, and the levels of accountability for you to actually generate the sale. All right. I really hope you got a lot of value out of this. Now, here's the deal. In my description below, I'm going to put the course that I did on referral systems will be in there, so you can use that as one of the mediums to generate sales. And also, I'm going to include my business plan course on Udemy in there as well. Now, let me say this. If you're joining us for the first time, or if you like what you've heard, today, and you want to get videos as I release them, and I plan, I'm really praying and hoping this year I'm going to put out more videos than I've done the previous year. So I'm going to be putting out videos for you. So do make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so that you can get the videos. Please subscribe now, like it, and share it, and let's get more people looking at our videos and enjoying what we are doing here. All right, I'll see you soon.